80%. That's the share of new caravan owners who told Australia's consumer watchdog something had gone wrong with their van, and half of those faults were classed as major. 2 in 3 of those people had paid over 60 grand. 60 grand and an 80% chance of a problem. Now hold that number in your head, because here's the part that'll properly annoy you. Go and find a bloke with a 12-year-old hard floor camper trailer he bought secondhand for 8 or 9 grand. Ask him what's gone wrong with it. He'll scratch his head, mumble something about a wheel bearing and a torn zip, and then tell you about the time he took it up the Cape and it didn't miss a beat. Meanwhile, the 90 grand Van 3, sights down at the caravan park, is in a repair queue with water in the walls. That's not luck. That's physics. And it's the thing nobody selling you a van wants you to work out. Because a caravan is a timber box, held together with staples and glue, sealed with silicone that has a shelf life, packed with plumbing and electrics and appliances, being shaken down a corrugated road. A camper trailer is a steel box on a chassis with a tent on top. One of those things has 100 ways to fail. The other has about 6. Today I'm counting down 5 dirt-cheap camper trailers that'll outlast a 90 grand Caravan, ranked from good to genuinely bulletproof, and I'll explain exactly why each one refuses to die. And this isn't me romanticizing the old days. It's built on the ACT's own fault data, what repairers actually see when they cut vans open, and the plain engineering truth that fewer parts means fewer failures. I'm Liam. I'm 50. No badge loyalty, nobody paying me a cent. Before we get into it, hit subscribe, because this could save you 60 grand and a decade of grief. Right, let's go from good to bulletproof. Coming in at number 5, the humble soft floor camper. Let's open with the one everybody looks straight past, because it's the cheapest thing on this list, and it looks like a box with a tent strapped to it. That's because it is, and that is precisely the point. A soft floor camper is a steel or galvanized box on a chassis, a fold-out canvas tent, a slide-out kitchen, maybe a water tank. That's the whole van. Count the things that can fail. There's no timber frame to rot, because there's no timber frame. There's no silicone-sealed wall joins letting water into a structure, because the structure is metal, and the living space is canvas that dries out. There's no delamination, no faux composite cladding, no mechatronic gremlins, no cabinetry tearing itself off the walls on the corrugations. Canvas tiers? You get it stitched for a couple of $100. Zips go? Replaced. Wheel bearings? $60 and an afternoon. The whole failure list on one of these is short, cheap, and fixable in a country town by anyone with a spanner. Buy a tidy used Aussie-made soft floor for 6 or 8 grand, keep the canvas clean and dry, repack the bearings, and it'll still be going when the bloke who bought the shiny van has been through 3 warranty fights and a moisture meter. Yes, you're camping rather than glamping. Yes, setup takes longer. Nobody's pretending otherwise. But nothing on it can quietly rot from the inside out while you're not looking. And that's the whole ball game. Stay with me, because number 2 is the one experienced tourers quietly reckon is the best value in the country. Number 4, the hard floor fold-over camper. Step up a rung and you get the hard floor, the one with the lid that folds over to become your floor and bed base, usually with a lounge and a proper kitchen. Setup drops to minutes instead of half an hour, which is the main complaint people have about the soft floor solved. And critically, you keep almost all the durability. Still a metal box on a chassis. Still no timber wall frame quietly drinking water. Still low, still light, still with proper approach and departure angles, because it isn't a 2-story box on stilts. Here's the bit that matters. A van has to be lifted absurdly high just to get any clearance, which makes it tall, tippy, and hard to drag anywhere interesting. A hard floor camper sits low and follows your vehicle wherever it can go. Less leverage on the chassis, less stress on the welds, less of the flexing that cracks a van's frame apart. Used Aussie-made hard floors turn up between 12 and 20 grand, and the good ones have already proven themselves. If it's done 10 years and a few laps of the country without cracking, that's not a gamble, that's a track record. Buy the one with the boring service history and the honest owner. Quick favor before we hit the top 3. If this is making you rethink that 90 grand showroom van, tap the like button. Costs you nothing, and it genuinely helps push this to other buyers before they sign. Cheers. On we go. Number 3. The ex-military and heavy-duty trade-built trailer. Now we're into the stuff that was never built for the caravan market at all, and that's exactly why it lasts. I'm talking about hardcore trailers built on genuinely over-engineered chassis, ex-military style boxes, and heavy trade-grade units that somebody has converted, or that a small Aussie builder made to a standard rather than to a price. The whole reason these survive is that they were designed with no marketing department in the room. Hot-dipped galvanized or heavily coated steel, independent suspension with real load ratings, not a badge, simple wiring you can trace with your finger, bolts you can undo with a normal spanner. No touchscreen, no fancy plumbing tree, no proprietary anything. And here's the thing about that simplicity. Every system you don't have is a system that can't fail on you 800 kilometers from a workshop. The van's got a diesel heater, a hot water service, a gray water system, a lithium bank with a management module, a fridge slide, 3 water pumps, and a bathroom. Beautiful, all of it, until one dies. Your trailer has a tank, a hose, and a 2-burner. There's a wisdom in that. These aren't pretty. They're heavy, and they're basic, and they'll never impress the neighbors. But you'll find them for 10 to 18 grand, and they simply do not break, because there's almost nothing on them to break. Number 2, the Australian-made hard floor with a proven chassis. Now this is the sweet spot, and it's where I'd put most people's money. A genuinely Australian-built camper from a maker with a real track record, bought used at 10 years old for a fraction of what it cost new. Why does this beat the 90 grand van so comprehensively? Because Australian-made campers are typically built with heavier-duty gear, reinforced chassis, proper suspension, real dust sealing, because local buyers expect them to survive more than a lap of the holiday park. The good builders have decades of doing exactly this, and it shows in the details. Meanwhile, that expensive van, remember, is one of over 150 brands where 80% of owners reported faults. The badge and the price tag are not the protection people think they are. A 10-year-old Aussie camper that's already done the gib and come back has proven itself in the only test that counts. Get underneath it. Check the chassis welds and the A-frame for cracks. Check the suspension mounts. Look at the canvas and the seals. Clean under there, and you've bought 2 more decades of touring for the price of a used hatchback. And topping the list at number 1, the simple galvanized off-road box camper with independent suspension. Here it is. If I had to hook one thing to my car tomorrow and know it would still be going in 20 years, this is it. A hot-dipped galvanized box, an independent coil suspension setup with proper travel, big wheels matched to the tow vehicle, a canvas tent, a slide kitchen. That's the lot. Galvanizing is the bit people underestimate. Rust is what kills trailers on our coast and our salt-laden tracks. And a properly galvanized chassis just laughs at it, decade after decade. Independent suspension means the corrugations get absorbed by the springs instead of hammering straight into the frame, which is exactly the punishment that cracks caravan chassis and shears their water tanks off. Let me put that in plain language. The van fails because it's a heavy, tall, rigid, water-absorbent box being shaken apart. This thing is a low, light, rot-proof metal shell on suspension, designed to soak up the shaking. One of those is engineered against the country. The other is engineered with it, 10 to 20 grand second hand, and I've seen them at 15 and 20 years old, still going hard, still worth real money, still not rusted, because there's nothing in them to rot. So there they are, 5 dirt cheap campers that'll see out a 90 grand van. The humble soft floor with a failure list you can count on one hand. The hard floor fold-over that keeps the toughness and kills the setup time. The over-engineered trade-built trailer with nothing on it to break. The proven Aussie-made hard floor bought used at 10 years old. And topping the list, the galvanized independent suspension box camper that simply refuses to die. My honest takeaway, and it's the same one I always give. None of this means caravans are evil, and I'm not telling you to sleep in canvas if you've got a crook back and a partner who wants a bathroom. A van gives you comfort a camper never will, and if that's what your traveling needs, buy the van, but buy it with your eyes open. The point is that comfort and durability are two completely different things, and the industry has spent 30 years selling you the first while charging you as though you were getting both. A camper trailer isn't a compromise. On the numbers, it's the more reliable machine, and it costs a tenth as much. So before you sign for a van, ask yourself honestly how many nights a year you'll actually use it, and whether you'd rather spend 80 grand or spend 8 and put the rest into the trips. Get underneath anything you're buying. Check the chassis, check the welds, check the suspension mounts, check the canvas. And whatever you tow, weigh it and make sure your vehicle can legally pull it. Have you got an old camper that's outlasted everything? Or watched an expensive van fall apart beside you at the campground? Drop your stories in the comments. The wins and the horror shows, all welcome. If this helped, give it a like, hit subscribe for more straight-shooting Aussie advice, and I'll see you in the next one. Drive safe, keep it simple, and the simple stuff will keep looking after you.